Hello, I'm Ginger Chang. Welcome to USTC360. It's great to have you with us again. Today our feature story takes place in the Golden State of California. Mr. I.W. Harper works as an officer at San Diego's Federal Prison Correction Center during the day and proudly dons a Tzu Chi recycling volunteer uniform at night. His friends and family describe him as easygoing and beautiful-natured. Most would not realize that Mr. Harper used to battle alcoholism and had a bad temper, to the point that even his wife Li Hua says she was afraid whenever he was home. It wasn't until a few posters containing Master Cheng Yen's teachings were placed around the house that he was inspired to change his old ways.
Time I worry about a lot of things because I come home, my husband started yelling at me. First thing he called my name, Liwa. I said, oh no, what happened now? See, the tone he said is kind of scared me all the time.
Okay, now let me get my lunch. Oh, okay. So I always got to make sure the door is locked.
So sometimes I say, what?
My fellow Tzu Chi volunteers would tell me that I wasn't being nice, that I needed to talk to him in a more gentle and loving manner. I told them, I'm not an elegant person and I've always been this way. They told me, no, you are a Tzu Chi member now and you need to be gentle and tell him things like, I love you, hubby. I actually felt a little awkward doing that. Husband suffered from a post-traumatic stress disorder. During the Vietnam War, a little 6-year-old boy once threw a hand grenade into their tent and instantly killed all of his fellow soldiers. Many nights he would talk or fight in his sleep, so that I was afraid of sleeping next to him.
He loves people, he loves what he does, and just, he's got that beautiful nature about him. I call him OG. OGs means original gangster, but he's just good at what he does.
这样他才会吸酒。他现在走了出去有改了。以前呢，哇，天天喝，一喝酒就骂人。小孩看了都不舒服啊，他们就 OK，you want to drink? I drink for you too. So they go outside drink and do the same thing what he do. So if he told him, say, why are you drinking? He said, why are you drinking too? What can I drink? So 他没有话讲啊。He cannot say anything because he's not a good model for the kid.
We come here every Saturday morning to recycle the stuff.
Okay, we'll set up the boxes and do the marking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just set the boxes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Fold the boxes
Yeah.
first.
Unfold them. Yeah. Fold the boxes.
When I first met Harper, he was not yet a Tzu Chi member. Li Hua casually introduced Harper to me, saying, "This is my husband." Harper didn't even bother to speak to me, just looked at me and walked away. I was wondering why he was so grumpy. I'm usually very good with people, but it was a very unpleasant first encounter, and we both just walked away from each other.
I would look to my left, I would look to my right, I would look overhead. I couldn't get away from it.
My eldest son used to cry a lot. There was one time when my husband and I had a fight and I was angry and frustrated. So I spanked my son and told him to cry louder. My husband suddenly rushed into the room and kicked me in the spine from behind. I was in such pain that I couldn't get out of bed for almost 7 months.
哇，那时候我都爬不起来，那时候我差不多有7个月了吧。
Li Hua was feeling very down at the time because of all that was going on at home. Her son's grades at school were getting worse and worse, and he began using drugs. From my previous experience, I knew it was a typical case of alcohol abuse.
I was thinking about getting some advice from Margaret, my Tzu Chi friend. One time, Margaret asked me, "Li Hua, would you like to join our Tzu Chi reading club? You can just come and see what we do. It's okay if you don't want to join. It will be worthwhile to just come and observe."
Let me think. I think that was about 10 years ago.
When I first read Jingzi, I was stunned because it described everything that I wanted to say and do.
She would take these little paragraphs or excerpts out of various Tzu Chi journals or magazines and make a little posters throughout the house and place them on every wall and on every door, including the garage.
Later on, Margaret gave me a lot of cassette tapes with Master Cheng Yen's teachings to listen.
At that time, we were still listening to cassettes.
For almost 6 months, Margaret asked me if I had listened to those tapes. I always answered, "No, I haven't. I don't have time."
Li Hua came to my office one day after work and returned those cassettes to me. I noticed that they were not touched, so I asked her if she had listened to those tapes. She replied that she was not in the mood to listen to them and wanted to return them.
My husband was an alcoholic and my son was addicted to drugs. I was caught in the middle. I couldn't help them, so I just tried to avoid the situation and escape.
In the summer of 2005, I was due for an annual physical exam at work. At that time, I was busy just running around doing a lot of drinking, doing a lot of just unnecessary stuff that had no meaning. And the doctor says, "Hey, how you feel?" I said, "I feel pretty good." He says, "Well, you have high cholesterol, you have excess body fat, and you have a high PSA." And I didn't know what a PSA was. And he says that indicates that you have cancer, prostate cancer.
Mr. Harper is no longer known as a mean drunk. Instead, after learning from his doctor he only had a few months to live, Mr. Harper learned to channel the energy from his bad habits to embark on a spiritual journey. His change in attitude and lifestyle was a transformation that even his wife took to surprise. Because prior to that, not only had he disliked Li Hua hanging out with her Tzu Chi volunteer friends, Mr. Harper never thought he'd work with the recycling volunteers to pick up cardboard boxes off the streets.
I was born in Hot Springs, Arkansas on December 6, 1945. I'm the second oldest of 7 kids, except my dad. He passed away when I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. One of the nuns called me to the side and said, your mother's here and we have bad news for you. And they told me that my dad had passed away, and I didn't know the meaning of death at the time. But his passing away changed my life and changed the life of my family, because my father was the only one that worked in the family, and he provided income for the entire family. Should I continue to go to school and let my mother, my sisters and brothers practically starve to death because it was tough. We were only eating 1 meal a day.
Lord, just how to make a meal.
Some people from the welfare, county welfare, they came and told my mother, they says, hey, you have too many kids as a single parent, and we're gonna take these kids away from you. And my mother said, no, these are my kids, and God will look after me and my kids, and I'll do whatever it takes. So my mother, she started working 2 jobs, and I quit school, and I started doing odd jobs as much as I can in a country town. So the recruiter showed up at my door, and my mom said, what have you done to my son? What have you done to my son? And the recruiter says, no, it was him. He's going to be a man. He's going to serve his country. So my brothers and sisters and everybody, they sent me off. That evening, I was on my way to San Diego, California for training.
In the old days in Taiwan, around 1968 or 1969, when a woman went out with a black guy, people would talk trash behind their back.
Well, I met this young lady in Lifa.
And he said, no, I don't want a girlfriend.
And she was trying to speak English, and I was trying to speak Chinese, and like we couldn't connect. But she just took my heart. Everybody says, hey, IW, you better watch yourself. You're going to get married. Did you know everybody here that comes here, if they're not married when they get here, they leave married? And I says, no, not me. Never myself. I'm never going to get married.
I was shocked.
4 weeks later, I was going around asking friends for necessary paperwork that I needed for permission to get married.
When he bring the paper home, he said all kind of mean things. He said, go home, I don't want to marry you, but I like you. What are you going to do? I'm going back to the States, no way I'm going to marry you. Hey, Mr. Harper, come here, sit here so I can talk to you. I don't think he remembered that. Then anyway, he bring the paper home, and if I remember, he bring me a little small box like a gift. He asked me to marry him. I think it's a body soap and a powder.
Oh yeah, it was.
It's about $2 worth. Yeah, I can buy $2 worth.
It's my first time to come here and wait for him. He is better now, too busy to fight with me, and I'm really happy about it.
IW, you have prostate cancer. He says, these are your options. He said you can wait and see if it stabilizes, or either you're going to have surgery, chemo, or a radiation treatment. Feeling real bad, I was scared, I didn't know what to do, and I told my wife. And now I'm going into shock. What do I do? What do I do? I couldn't believe it. Why me? I felt that I was being punished for something that I had done to myself, my wife, or my kids. So Lee got on the phone and called a good family friend, Master Cheng.
He felt that he needed to do something positive for society before he died, so we started working on recycling together. Honestly, that was the first time that I had done recycling. I didn't even know how to collect things. Since I was trying to convince him to go, I didn't want to tell him that I didn't know how to do it. I actually told him that I knew how to do it and that I would show him how. We collected a lot of cardboard and were trying to put it into his Jeep, but it kept sliding back onto the ground. We tried very hard using our hands, our legs, and even our foreheads, and we finally pushed all the cardboard into the car. It was a very memorable first experience for both of us.
The preparation stage for recycling cardboard. And I was recycling cardboard one night about 12:30 in the morning. And this homeless person came out of nowhere. And I was in my Tzu Chi recycling uniform, and I looked like a bum. This homeless person, he came from the side of the dumpster, and he says, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing okay." And he says, "Do you want something to eat?" And I said, "No, thank you." And then he went behind the dumpster, and he pulled out 2 bottles of water, drinking water, and he says, "Here, take some water." He says, "It's okay, it's okay, it's all I have." In that moment in time, I know that was a fact, that was the moment that touched my heart, and I became 100% dedicated and devoted to Tzu Chi. Now here was a person that had nothing, and he wanted to share that little bit of nothing with me. Seen at the doctor about 2 months ago, and he did a checkup on me. He says, "Hey Harper, you're doing real good. I don't know what happened, what you're doing, what you're not doing, but keep doing what you're doing and come back and see me in 10 years. Because your cancer is gone, there's no more traces of it."
Truly a miracle indeed. It's not every day that you can tell people you beat cancer, but Harper can. And since 2005, Mr. Harper volunteers every single day after work to collect recyclables. He has made peace with his life journey and even became a commissioned volunteer along with his wife Li Hua in 2010. Ningdai is the focus of our footprint segment today. This Tzu Chi volunteer in Chicago was also able to discover untold happiness and humility through the joy of volunteering. At one time, her son actually tried to stop her from picking up what he called garbage. But to Yu, the rubbish she collects can actually be turned into gold that is then used to save the world.
When my daughter was working in Chicago, she took me to the Tzu Chi office there. While I was there, I watched videos of Master Cheng Yen's teachings. Even though I understand very little Taiwanese, Master Cheng Yen spoke slowly, so I was able to understand some of what she said. Master Cheng Yen said, recycling can help others and save the earth. Many volunteers in Taiwan collect cans and recyclables. So a few of my friends and I decided to begin collecting recyclables too. Us three old ladies agreed to meet and discussed how to begin. We collect cans and bottles from lawns and garbage cans. I don't think there's anything wrong with collecting. We use wooden sticks to pick them up. Since the cans can be very dirty, we bring them home and wash them before flattening it. When I go out, I usually bring a plastic bag, so I can collect cans as I see them on the streets. After a while, the local people began giving us cans they'd collected at home. When my son sees me collecting cans and storing them in the garage, he'd say, "Don't collect anymore, just donate some money instead." But I feel I should do more while I'm still able. Master Cheng Yen said, we don't have ownership of our life, we only have the privilege of using it. Seize the moment, you're never too old to learn.
Master Cheng Yen reminds us all that we must learn to seize the present moment and that time is of essence. But we must first learn to see clearly within ourselves before we're able to pursue the goal of improving the lives of other people and the earth. I'm Ginger Chang. Thank you for watching USTC360. I'll see you next week.